Hey, welcome to ADHD Founders, a podcast for building business with ADHD. In this episode, we've got Marie back, and we talk about a few fun different things. We ask, is SaaS dead? And if so, what does that mean for our businesses? Now that everyone can build things with AI. And then what else are we get into, Marie?
We also talk about, from a business perspective, maintenance and versus growth, because I think they're two things that you need to balance, especially when you've had a business running for a while. There is a lot of maintenance and things that you need to keep on top of to keep it running, which are often behind the scenes and people don't see. So how do you balance that with actual product growth and things that will drive the business, outwardly forward?
Yeah. We nerd out a little bit about some of the ways that we're using AI with coding and things like that too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/ADHD_founders.
Enjoy the episode.
You love your customers, but it's admin. What kind of thing are you automating?
It's not fully automated, but it's something I basically... Like a lot of customers asked to delete their accounts before I was kind of going in manually to do that. And I actually do provide a way to do that. Like you can do it yourself if you wanted to, but a lot of people, I guess, don't find that and they email me to do it. And if you email me to do it, I'll do it because it's just...
Well, don't say that on the recording. No, I'm just kidding.
It's fine. But anyway, it was very time consuming because you have to go through and delete people from different parts of the app, like the database, like a mailing list, all that stuff. Anyway, so I wrote some scripts to make it a lot easier for me to find customers in the database and also just to automate that deletion. I don't delete straight away because sometimes people change their mind. And I've seen this happen a lot. They'll go delete my account, but then the next thing you know, they've actually bought a subscription and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but they had a change of heart or a change of mind. So what I usually do is I schedule the account for deletion and I tell them it's been scheduled. And this is in all the terms and conditions as well. It says if you schedule your account for deletion, it'll be deleted within, 30 days. Yeah. And some companies are even longer. I've seen people go it will be deleted in the next 3 months or something.
I think we have 30 days in ours, but we do it within 24 hours.
Yeah, I do it probably quicker than 30 days now that I've got the script as well. So I can just type very quickly to find a customer, to schedule it for deletion. And then I also have a script to run the deletion. That's just made my life a lot easier. And it's kind of fun to do it as well. I feel like it's a little bit more fun because it's something I wrote. So I'm like, I'll just type this in and it's bang, and it finds everyone and it prints it out nicely on the console and it kind of looks cool. And I'm like, yeah, this is giving me a bit of dopamine instead of taking the dopamine away from me. It's actually giving it to me now a little bit more than it used to.
The CEO of the last startup I worked at before I became the founder, he said something which I think is just, I always stay with me. He's like, Sharon, what I like to do is put a product person on an annoying area of a business. So and then all the annoying parts, they'll just fix.
Right.
Be like, okay, software actually could fix this. This, it was a real estate startup, right? So he put a product person on for current homeowners within our app, right? It was called Zero Down, and we'd buy the home and then you'd pay rent, rent to buy. And so that kind of homeowners management element where this was super archaic and just kind of normal, spreadsheet stuff. And then, but it's obviously super annoying. Be like, okay, now let's update this, update that. And very quickly it becomes productized because people don't like doing annoying, boring things multiple times if you know how to do it better. And so it's you probably wouldn't have ever done that script if you still had someone else doing your customer service,
Yeah.
Yeah, just something you're saying there, putting a product person in those, that's such a great approach because I feel I know for me, I'm always looking for how can we do this better, make this more efficient? And partly it's, I think, the ADHD part of me where it's I hate doing work that feels wasteful. It's I had such a hard time in school whenever there was busy work, sort of homework, where it's just do this 40 times. And I could not get myself to do it. And so in work, when I run into those things, I'm okay, well, what's the solution so that I don't have to do this thing 40 times? Because I am not doing that.
Exactly.
If you force me to do the thing 40 times, then I'm going to be gone before I get to 20 times because I just won't be able to handle it.
I'll be gone or I'll make it better.
Yeah, exactly. Empower me to make the process or whatever better. And I think that's great.
I think it's also this ADHD thing. It's a little hack of trying to find something you really hate, trying to find a little bit of joy in fixing that or doing that thing. Because you can't avoid doing customer support in a business. If you're a solo founder like me, you have to do it, right? You have to do it all. And so I love coding. I like making stuff. So I'm kind of, I made something to help me with that problem. It's just like on a smaller scale than making a whole product. It's like a little product or a little feature, but it just happens to be more like a back-end feature to help with some administrative task. But I still got to create something and I still got to do coding. So I was like, okay, it ticks a couple of fun boxes for me.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost like you're doing almost like DevOps for yourself or something like that, where you're building internal tools for yourself to use to make doing the business better. I mean, it kind of reminds me, I'm not necessarily in a business sense, but in the last episode, I talked about how I've been building this little menu bar app for tracking baseball. So I'm using that to like watch baseball games. And it's been really cool because I'm learning like Swift UI. I'm using Claude Code to sort of like pilot. And then I'm just sort of like directly, I guess I'm sort of like navigator while Claude Code is writing a lot of the Swift UI code that I'm not familiar with yet. And then I'm sort of learning along the way. But because I'd done that app, which has been like a really fun experience, I had an issue just earlier today with this little thing in my life that kind of annoys me, where I'm working right now, I'm in this like, it's kind of a studio space built in my garage. And I have like a little mini split that does like the heat and the AC in here. But it has one of these like really old school, like, you got to like pull down the thing and press the button and point it at. And it's really annoying. And I wanted it to be automated. So a while back, I bought this little device called Sensibo. And it's got like a little temperature sensor. And then it's supposed to be able to automate the switching, but it's very manual. So it's better than like using this stupid controller, but I still have to like pull out my phone and then like try and schedule the stuff. And it's very, very manual, like having to set the stuff. And it's still kind of annoying because if I'm like on a podcast, I'm like, oh man, it's kind of hot in here. I got to like pull out my phone and then go to the app and find the thing. And I was telling my wife the other day, like what I wish I had was something kind of like a Nest where you kind of have something and you just sort of like are adjusting the temperature throughout the day. If you don't know Nest, it's like the smart thermostat. So you can just sort of like adjust and it's sort of learning your schedule over time. Well, I was going to look and see if something like that existed. And then I just had the idea earlier today of like, actually, what if I did like a little menu bar app that did that same sort of thing? So I could just have this little app in the menu. I could click on that and adjust the temperature and then use the API for Sensibo to be able to adjust it that way. And like, I just had this idea like an hour ago and fiddled it a little bit with it. And I can do it right now. Like I can adjust the temperature. It's not learning yet, but it's like logging everything. Yeah. And now I'm like, cool, I can set this up to like track the outside temperature and like all of these things. Cause like, I know, hey, if it's over 70 outside, I'm going to need the AC that day. It's going to get hotter in here. But currently, like the Sensibo app doesn't know that. I have to like manually adjust the schedule.
Yeah.
But this little utility app, I'm going to be able to inform what I want it to do exactly for my preferences. And then I can have it take that into account and adjust what settings are going on for just what I need. And I love that I can do that it was just like an idea I had today. And I already have something built that does, like right now, I'm like, it's a little bit hot in here. I'm going to turn down the temperature so the AC cools it off a little bit in here.
What a great feeling.
Yeah, it's amazing. It feels so empowered.
Feels so alive.
It's amazing.
Yes. Right. Have you guys heard people talking about like how AI is going to be the death of SaaS? Like, because these basically the two things, I mean, you obviously, that's a home use case, Jesse, but how easy it is to make something that just bespoke to your specific needs. It's changing the game for SaaS. And the like all these established SaaS companies that had these moats in this like just piles and piles of software and history and all that, that's no longer like a big moat. Like that moat is thinning out or drying up or however the analogy carries forward. So it is, I mean, it's interesting you kind of see that in both things because there's probably software you could have bought, Marie, to do that, to run those instead of making your own script. And it's kind of cool. I mean, maybe not that specifically, but other things like that.
I don't know. I think AI is really good in terms of helping you get like an MVP up, like something up really quickly. But as a project gets more complex and as you need to understand like the nuances of like your users and the problem you're solving, like I think it can help, but I think you can't just rely on it completely. I think it turns into a big mess after a while too. Like it also depends on how well structured your project is to begin with. If you just ask AI to do it from the beginning and it just kind of goes wild and you let it kind of just automate everything, I feel like it just ends up in slop. But if you have a project that maybe you set up yourself, or maybe you even use some kind of like a well-known good boilerplate at the beginning where it's got good structure, then I think maybe it could be okay. It needs a good foundation, I think, to build on. And if you don't know what
I've
you're
only
doing,
ever done it like that.
So I think part of the danger is if you don't know what you're doing and you just let it run by itself, like you don't know how that structure is like, it's like building slop on top of slop. And then it gets to a certain point where it's just going to fall apart. And also the person building it might not have the same passion that you have about the problem that you're solving. And so then they might just lose interest in it or not push the product in the right direction. So I definitely think it can help, but I feel like on its own, it could just be, what do you think, Jesse?
I do think the idea in general is a little bit overblown, like the SaaS is dead sort of thing. Like, right. I don't think SaaS is dead at all.
I don't think so. I mean, but it's changing the game.
It's definitely changing a lot, especially for like, I think the big change is happening at the extremes. So like for this like tiny little like temperature utility that I'm building right now, there may be another app like that, but it's small enough that I know I can build it customized to what I want. And then it's great. And then it's not going to be the sort of thing that needs long-term maintenance. Like I'm going to build it to a point and then it'll be like, cool, it does what I need. And now it just sits up there and does it.
It's low stakes. Like
if it doesn't work, it's very low stakes.
You're not going to burn alive. You're going to turn the thermometer back down.
Right. So, and like kind of the same thing with like the baseball tracking menu bar app that I did. That's the thing where like there are other apps that do that. And what I probably would have done is downloaded one of those. But I looked at the ones that were out there and I thought they were kind of ugly. And so then it's, again, low stakes enough that I was like, I'm going to try and tackle this myself. And so that kind of that lower end stuff where I think that has changed a lot. And then the opposite is the huge stuff. The companies like a Notion or a Monday or like some of those like giant scale ones, I feel like they might be in trouble because they have customers that have like 500, 5,000 seats. And those companies that have that many people may just decide, hey, what if we put 20 people on a team with AI and build our own version that's very custom to what we need, we being like a Microsoft or something like that. And I think a lot of those companies can start to build those tools internal. That I think is going to be affected a lot. Those like really huge companies.
Internal or like a startup could come in and disrupt like an existing big SaaS player too, right? By making it easier to customize or making whatever that scenario is part of the fun of this, right? Where it's like the speed of time to development has just gotten so compressed that you can have an idea and execute it so quickly and learn that you're like sometimes that you might have spent shopping around for the solution is just put into building it.
Oh, for sure.
I do think the point that Marie said earlier is huge, where I think there's a lot of people that are creating stuff right now. And then they get to that like first difficult hurdle and then they quit. Maybe it's too much slop because I don't know what I'm doing. Or maybe I didn't realize how difficult maintenance is going to be because I added some integrations and, hey, those, you don't just like set it and forget it. Like you have to maintain these things. And I think there's a lot of early first-time builders that are running into that now. Like I feel like I see that happening a lot with like, I don't know, popular newsletters or something like that, where a newsletter person will say like, hey, I created this cool utility that does this really awesome thing for me for helping me write articles. And then like 4 months later, they're like, oh yeah, I haven't looked at it in a few months because I ran into this issue and I didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
And I feel like that's a very common scenario happening right now where people are trying it. And if they don't have that, like either the really technical builder knowledge or whatever, if they don't have that thing that's going to help it keep going, it's going to kind of die off, which is why I don't think like SaaS is dead. I think it's just this really interesting, evolving thing that's happening right now, and I don't know where it's going to end up. It's wild.
I mean, it makes a better headline than it's not dead,
right. Yeah.
I think also just like from a customer perspective, like me as a customer, if I look at a new product and I feel like it's just all built by AI, I also am a bit hesitant to go all in on that product because I'm worried it won't exist in a few months. like if someone gets bored with it. There's a lack of credibility sometimes behind it.
That kind of reminds me, before AI, I feel like sometimes you would see someone announce some really cool app. I don't know, maybe this is just me, but like I would look at the pricing model and I would think, that's not a sustainable pricing model. I don't think this company is going to make it. So therefore, even though it's cheaper for me, I'm not going to use that product, because then I'm going to be stuck using a product that I don't think is going to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm probably not the only person that felt that. And I think that's sort of a similar thing happening now, where it's like, this feels like this is maybe too heavily reliant on AI. I don't know if this product is going to exist in 6 months.
All that maker has like 10 products in the market at the moment. And I'm like, how are you going to sustain all of that? You're just kind of building whatever.
Yeah.
There's no direction and there's no...
In San Francisco, different concept, but we used to call it like the venture capital discount, which is, I lived at the time that there was like Uber for everything, right? Like all these marketplace service businesses. And so, they have funding and they're priced way under what they can afford. So eventually they're going to go under, and you saw it time after time. But meanwhile, you could ride the scooters for $5, or you could, like as a user, you're like living large in San Francisco by using all these cool services that, ultimately aren't sustainable. But that's, different than a software thing where you're not having to invest in it. You're just like, I'm going to get the babysitter for a really cheap price, because they're not making any money, but the babysitter's making money and they're nice. So we're good.
Speaking of maintenance, because you mentioned maintenance before, Jesse, I've actually been doing a lot of maintenance on Llama Life. And actually AI has been really good with that, to help with that. I think from an efficiency perspective, AI really helps me as a solo founder and a solo like maker at the moment. Because when you do maintenance stuff, so I'll give you an example. I mean, it sounds kind of easy, but it had potential to be like a nightmare. But I just had to update like my operating system on my Mac, because I needed to also update to the latest version of Xcode, because Apple is now forcing developers to only build with OS 26, Xcode version 26 as well. So I had to update from a pretty old version, and I was so worried like everything was going to break. But the update to my Mac went fine. The update to Xcode went fine. But then it did break Llama Life, like all over the place. A lot of dependencies, a lot of libraries. And sometimes with the libraries, like, whatever package you're using, that also depends on other package, like dependency hell, basically. And I was like, oh my God, I was fixing one error after the other. And I was like, when is this going to stop? Because it doesn't tell you all the errors at the same time. Like it's running and it hits an error, it crashes, and you go, okay, let me fix that. And then it goes on to the next one and the next one. And I'm like, oh my God. But that is where AI excels, because then, you get a lot of error logs. And as a person, like it's really hard to read through all of that and try to find out exactly what's going on. But AI can, obviously there's a lot of data. When there's a lot of data, it can help kind of process it quickly for you and try and pinpoint it. So I managed to do it all in a day. I thought it was going to take me like a few days. Could have even been a week if something went really wrong, but I got it all done in one day. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without AI, I don't think.
So what are you using?
Well, right now I'm just using Cursor. So I used to use like VS Code a lot. So I'm using Cursor, which is basically like VS Code, but it's got the AI built in, so it can actually see your code. Like there's so many different levels, right? Like most people I think sort of the average consumer would be more like, let me paste something into like a chat window in a browser. And I used to do that as well. And that's a really good sort of entry point. But now it's I'm just using Cursor, which actually has the AI chat built in, and it's got agents built in now as well. And I'm kind of using that because it can actually see my code base. But I know there's like, there's even steps above that. Like I know, Jesse, you use Claude code, right?
And you can use that in Visual Studio.
You can do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like things are changing a lot all the time. And like you were saying before the call, like something like, oh, I don't think I'm as far ahead as you or something like that.
Yeah, I always feel behind.
I think, I'm so behind. And I feel, like I said before, everyone in AI just always feels behind because things are changing constantly. Like every day there's new updates for all the things. And that's just sort of like the world we live in now is like, it's always changing and you're always going to kind of be a little bit behind, even if you're on the cutting edge. But what I'm primarily using now, I was using Cursor for a long time. And I think I was telling you about it like a year or two ago, trying to get you to use it because I was like starting to really embrace it. And now I've pretty much fully flipped to using Claude Code as my primary kind of interface with AI for code-based stuff. And to the point where I don't even use Cursor anymore. I've gone back to VS Code because when I'm in my code editor, like I don't want the AI right there. Like that's when I want to go in and manually do stuff. And so I kind of will talk with Claude Code and do a lot of my code, like especially understanding stuff, because sort of the similar sort of thing where I can ask it to explore a code base. You know, we mentioned like a few episodes back or whatever, I have a new job. And so I'm learning a whole new giant code base that like dozens of people have poured into.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to like understand. You can't just like spelunk for a couple of days and understand the whole thing. There's like a lot of code in there and a lot of history. And so Claude Code has been really helpful for navigating some of that, so I can kind of understand why is this section built this way. And it can kind of go back and see the Git history and see a lot of the reasons why it got to this solution, which is like super helpful. And even if it was like my own code base, it's like, why did I get here? I don't know. Like do the Git blame and see what I thought was a good idea last year when I wrote this part. And it's really helpful for that sort of stuff. So yeah, Claude Code is the primary way that I've been doing that these days. But who knows what'll come out next week? I may change. So
my team too, by the way, Cursor first, Claude Code preferred now, and then when we run out of tokens, Chris has been going to my CTO has been going to Codex. Is his like now after Claude Code, Codex is where he pops over to just like massage things or kind of.
I've tried Codex before. I know it's changing. It's been a while since I've used it. When I last used it, it felt like it was very slow.
I think that he definitely prefers Claude Code. And I've been, I as a non-engineer, I've been messing around in Claude Code. And I don't know, for me, that one is the best. But funny thing, I was in Claude Code and I was going to do some wireframing, prototyping of an idea. And I was like, should I use Claude like for detailed prototyping if I want to get more refined on the UX elements? Should I use Claude Design? And it's like, Claude Design, I've not heard of this. What is this? And I was like, claude.com/design. And Claude Code did not know what Claude Design was, which is just always like a funny. We run into that with Shelpful too, where we have to remember to tell our own product about our features. Like someone like was, I think when we launched our smart tags, the NFC tags, forgot to like put in kind of the generic prompt. Smart tags mean NFC tags, and Shelpful now sells them. And it's because someone went in and said like, hey, I just bought some smart tags. How do I set them up? And we're like, they got a horrible answer. So it was, I wish always forgetting to do that. And it's just funny that that's happening at the Anthropic level as well.
Yeah. It's like the forcing you to update your docs, but like really, because it's really easy to ignore the docs, but less so when people are interacting. Like your entire app is the docs. Like you can't ignore updating the docs. Like you really have to be on top of that because that's how people interact with it.
And you mentioned this, Marie, too, about just like how being organized is important to start a project, but it's actually forcing me to be more organized, which I love. I love that for me. I don't love organizing. I just love that for me that I now have like a really organized folder for my launch because I want Claude to be able to reference that. So I have all the screenshots and all the like little assets and photos of me using the product and like all these things all in one place. Whereas before I kind of just have them all, mussed around and I had to go find them because I never felt like it was worth the time to just put them all together. So I think that, and it's just forcing me to do that, which I like. And also the Claude Design is very fun too, Marie. I think you'd have fun with it. Like animations on there. Ooh. Like it's a web only right now. It's not in the client. So it's just claude.com/design in the browser. Okay. And they use the tokens separate from your core subscription if you subscribe to Claude. So I did max out mine and I'm banned for a week now.
I haven't tried it. I've heard it's really easy to max it out though.
Yeah. It was like one really like motivated session for like 4-hour motivated session. It's toast for the week. But I luckily got to a pretty good stopping point before I got booted on this last project. But it's a lot of fun. And slide decks, like anything like that, it's so easy on.
There is a little bit of me that's it's so easy to get sucked into like the latest and greatest, and like even hearing you guys talking about Claude Code and Claude Design, I'm like, I want to go try it more, but I could easily just go down a rabbit hole and like try all these new tools and stuff. But I really should be working on my business as well. Like, I don't know. There's a balance.
But I mean, I'm doing them to work on my business.
Yeah, I know.
Like I have a Claude automation setup that pours over my revenue cat and Shopify data and is sending every Monday sending a like analytics report to me and the team. Like we've never looked at analytics so much as since I've done that. Like that's helping my business. And that was just a kind of fun little experiment on Claude that took me like an hour. I think that, and like I had to prototype, I had to wireframe this thing anyway, but instead of wireframing it, I got to prototype it. And it's a feature that I want to do. I wasn't just messing around for fun.
Sure.
And so I think that it's good to limit yourself, but it's for me being like creative fuel for a purpose. And Jesse wants to not be too hot in his office. So.
But I think that's the key. Like you were very intentional about the way you were using it, purposeful. You had an outcome that you wanted to get to. So I think that makes sense. So I guess that's the key point is like going in, you're trying to do something specific. You're not just kind of messing around because you want to try something new and shiny. You're doing it for a very specific reason and make sure like that's the output you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it reminds me of back in the day when I was first learning. Well, I mean, your story building Llama Life. I was going to say the best way to learn how to code is to build something, not go through exercises. And that's literally how Llama Life came to be. You had something you were building to learn, and then that became like your product. And so it's a similar sort of thing because I like with Claude Design, I opened it up and I looked at it and I didn't have a project in mind. And I kind of looked around and I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do here. This is going to be a waste of time. And so I left. But if I had like a very specific, actually, I'm like remembering there was another thing that I've been wanting to try. It was like, it's like a set of Claude skills that's also design related. I don't know. I like installed those skills like a month ago and then I didn't have anything to use them on. So they've just been sitting there. But yesterday I had an idea of something I wanted to do that needed some design. And I was like, oh, those skills, now I have a purpose to use those. Like I'm not just noodling around trying to figure out how it works. I'm actually building a thing. And then I'm able to actually see how useful or not that thing is and figure out how it's going to work for me. And I think like kind of reminds me again, also like another thing that really helped my programming was it wasn't something I wanted to build, but I had a coworker that saw me like going through some coding exercises or whatever. And then he just sort of asked me, he's like, you should build a calculator. I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, just build a calculator. Like whatever you know right now, try and build a calculator and see how far you can get. And that was like such an awesome challenge because there's so many weird things. Like I had very basic knowledge at the time, but there's so many weird things to figure out. Like, oh, well, I have to store the number. Like you type in the number and then you hit plus or whatever. Well, that means I got to store that number and then wait for the second number so that I can do the addition. Like all these like little things that in the grand scheme isn't that complicated, but it forced me to think about how can I use these different skills I've figured out in a way that produces something new from it. And I think that, having that purpose is really key.
A calculator and a to-do list. They're the kind of the basic things that you want to do because, well, to-do list is good too because it teaches you about like fetching and like retrieving the data and like writing it back and like once you get the data, doing something with it.
Much more complex than it would seem from the outside, a list.
Yeah.
That was like one of the more annoying things for us to make in the Shelpful app when we made it. It was like...
Well, there's a lot of like little product decisions in a list. Because like if you check it off, does it stay there? What happens in style? Does it move to the bottom of the list?
And the UX?
Does it go to an archive page? What happens? There's all these like little things you have to figure out.
And like all the options that a person needs when it comes to a list, like due date, due time, recurrence, and like how do I display all these without being completely like an eye mess? And it's, it doesn't, those things are really hard.
In, it's even harder. And then also just like multi-platform synchronization.
I mean, that's my kind of creative juices really come from like, I have a list of things I need to do. I'd like to take as little time as possible to do them. And so like all the shortcuts I do on my phone and stuff too, I don't use any of the kind of silly shortcuts that some people have. Like I can't, novelty things, I have no interest in them. But if it can save me 30 seconds of something that I do regularly, that's what I want to do. So I feel like that's where I invest any time is in automating or making anything is just like, I need to do this. I just want to do it faster, which is nice. It's possible now. We can really rabbit hole on AI every time. I love it. Do you want to do some business updates? Like a little bit. Marie, you shared a little bit on Llama Life, but what else is going on?
Well, I did some marketing kind of updates too, just like email list kind of things, which are important, I think. Like, just the mailing list itself, like tidying that up. Because when you have a mailing list that starts to grow, there's also a lot of inactive users And that wasn't something I was paying attention to. So you can actually filter it by things like, you've sent this person 10 emails and they've opened none of them. If they're not opening any emails, there could be several reasons for that. You could accidentally be going into their spam folder and you won't know that. They could be receiving it, but just, it might be going into their promotions tab in Gmail or something and they're not looking at that, or they're just not looking at it. But for whatever reason, like this person's not looking at your emails. But if you still have them on your list, it really starts to affect your open rate. And I think if your open rate's really low, that can also start to flag you as spam. Say the bots are going, oh, well, this person's sending out a lot of emails, but no one's opening them. Maybe they're not opening them because it's spam, and it might start to categorize you that way. So I think it's really important to look at the inactive users. So if someone's inactive for over 90 days, or maybe you can just see that you've sent 10 emails and they've opened none of them, but they've been delivered, then you might want to actually remove them from the list, because that means your overall open rate will be higher and your credibility for your business will be higher.
So I do want to say a small caveat on that. Some providers do not give you that rate. So like I use hey.com for my email, and you could send me 40 emails and I could look at every single one and it'll all look unread to you.
Yeah.
Because it blocks all those pixels.
It blocks,
and there's several mail providers that do that.
True, that's true.
And then on the opposite side of things, Apple just recently, I think in the last year or so, does the opposite. Every single email you send to someone on Apple, I think like the iCloud, will be marked as read. And so
because it's like processing.
Totally agree with like what you're saying, and which is why some people will do like anyone that's inactive, and they may even like filter the email, like filter out hey.com, filter out. There's a couple other ones that are like privacy focused, and then send them an email of like, hey, do you want to stay subscribed? I notice you haven't opened the last few or whatever. Sometimes people will send out like an email like that, which is one way to kind of catch give the people that are loyal readers that one more chance to
now that you say it, I do remember when Hey came out with that. Yeah. I've deleted.
Sorry, I didn't mean to poke a hole in
you didn't like permanently delete them though, right? You're just filtering.
Well, no, I just unsubscribed them. But I could probably resubscribe them because they technically didn't unsubscribe themselves, so that's not really, and they can if they want to.
You may not even have that many because it's not like I feel like we are probably like much more aware of Hey. Oh, you did have a lot? Oh, well.
Well, and 90% of them are probably Gmail though, right? Like, I think that just go look at them like how Jesse just described, and you probably only have a handful that fall into that. So you don't need to be too sad, probably. This is a question though. I have a really hard time prioritizing something like that.
I haven't done it for 5 years.
I know, because I'm like, I could not put that over a growth initiative in my brain.
I know. This is a thing. This is the thing I need to balance now, because like
this, and that's not a critique, by the way. I'm just
no. It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder because I was kind of coming out of burnout. Like I've talked about that a lot in previous episodes, and so
it's almost like tidying your workspace before you dive back in. Is that kind of okay? Yeah,
getting a good foundation. But I'm ready for growth stuff now. And I feel like I really have to. I think with the state of the world at the moment, I think a lot of people are pulling back on spending. That's just like, it's more like a gut feel.
Individuals, consumers.
Yeah, I don't have anything to prove that, but it's more like a gut feel. Like sales numbers feel like slower than usual at this time of year.
People need to buy gas
prices,
apps.
war, interest rates, like mortgages, stuff like that. It's all over the news all the time. And like, I feel like people are cutting back on more discretionary spending or tools or products that they are like, I don't know if this might work. Whereas in the past, they might like be more willing to take a chance. I feel like people are just stopping to think more about buying things. And also people are canceling more too, because they're kind of going through, what can I cut out to save a bit of cash here and there? So I feel like getting hit from both ends. So definitely do need to do some growth stuff. So that's a good reminder. But I also just feel like the market's really bad at the moment. I'm feeling it. I'm actually feeling it.
Which is, I think this isn't negating anything you said, but just to add to it is in a competitive market, like constrained spending makes things more competitive, right? If I'm, if we're, you're competing for $5 or for $1 or whatever the discretionary spend is that someone has. So it is even more of a reason to innovate or reach new people and all that, which I think that is I think about that all the time too, Marie. Not only is spending at a premium, but also with everything we just talked about in this episode, with AI allowing people to create custom things to meet their needs and allowing them to schedule things and automate things, and standalone software, is changing, or like how it sits in people's brains. I think the broadest consumer is not maybe so much there as like, I think all of us probably have this advantage. Online, I feel like I'm behind always. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, we don't have an MCP yet for Shelpful, and we don't have like all this stuff. And then I go into the Portland, Oregon real world, and nobody knows anything about it.
You don't need an MCP right
it's
now.
So those overlapping bubbles and
what's an MCP? Like they've not even heard of Claude. Like it's and I'm like, okay, so it gives you some perspective of like the range, but I do think that it is. We have the advantage because being in the loop on this stuff of seeing where things are going. Because I do believe, obviously, it's early adopters right now, but there's reason to, I feel like kind of clock ticking on like getting more footholds and more customers in, with different features or different things.
It kind of reminds me of like, back when the iPhone first came out, I remember having an iPhone and I loved it, and I could tell just immediately. I was like, "This is where everything's going." Mm-hmm. Like it was so obvious to me at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember having conversations with other people that were like, like BlackBerry people, and they're like, "Oh, it doesn't even have 3G," or like things like that, like for the original one, or "Oh, it doesn't even have this," and stuff. And I just felt like, but that is not gonna matter.
It's the internet, bro. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
It was just like the stuff that people were trying to like dismiss it. I was like, do you see this thing? Do you see how this is gonna change everything?
I know. And it just seems so obvious to me. Because you see that so much, like, but not design, but not, people are like defensive of their area and their zone of expertise,
right? Or they point at like a humorous thing, like, "Oh, it doesn't know how many R's are in strawberry," or something like that. It's like that is so not going to matter for all the other things. It is just going to change and how fast that change is happening and stuff like that.
Yeah,
totally.
And so it feels like very.
This is good. This is actually. I don't know. This is why it's so important to kind of chat with people who are doing similar things to you or running similar businesses, because I kind of needed to hear that, I think. Like, I know it deep down that I need to focus on the growth stuff. I know it. But it's more like, sometimes like when your house is not clean, or maybe what you said about your desk, Sharon, that's like a really good comparison. It's like, before I start, I need everything to be like good.
Yeah.
And everything taken care of, and then I can do the thing.
Totally.
That's kind of the mode I'm in right now. I'm like, I've got to like tidy up all
and
the
when
stuff
you're solo,
just so I can do the thing.
Who's going to clean the desk if not you? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a balance, obviously, but like it's clean enough probably is the answer right now. I have done a lot of cleanup. Some of it is essential though, like being able to push to the App Store. If I can't do that, there's no point. So that was a necessity. There are a couple other necessities coming up, like Android, Google Play have a requirement that has to be met. Like I need to change some stuff to meet that. It's a really stupid requirement. The customers won't even see any difference, but like, again, Google won't let you push to their store unless you do this. So I have to do that. And same with my database. There's some stuff changing there that I have to do. So these are kind of hidden costs of running a business.
The hidden work of running a business.
Yeah, hidden work. Mm-hmm. There's time that's needed for that. And a lot of people nobody's going to see it. It makes zero difference to a customer. Zero. Right. But it takes up my time.
Yeah, and then it'll empower you to do a lot of the other stuff you do want to do.
Yeah,
will
for
impact
sure.
Customers. So
in this case, I don't know. I don't think it would change it. But
being able to deploy to the Android store.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, being able to exist is definitely a thing.
Right.
I mean, we don't need to. This isn't the grilling Marie session. I think it's if tidying your desks helps you start work, great. Yeah. But now your desk is tidy, so start.
It definitely is a thing, like tidying your desk. Like everybody feels good when they've got a clean desk. It's like, okay, cool. Clean desk, clean mind. It's just about how much time you dedicate to that. Like if you're spending a whole day on that, then obviously that's not what you want to do. But I'm going to spend like 15 minutes tidying my desk is good.
Especially if you have like a really great app that'll help you time box that activity. Like maybe Llama Life.
Like maybe Llama Life. Yeah. I know. Like if only I can remember to take this thing. Oh wait, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's good. I feel very motivated now to add some features.
All right, I'll do a quick business update, which is kind of relevant to some of the stuff we were talking about. So my co-founder and I we had met up last week and just sort of like we hadn't done stuff together in a little while. And so we're like, hey, let's like meet up and talk about things and kind of see where we're at. And we're having this problem of like he and I are like building these cool things on the side, and it's really easy to move really fast because we're just by ourselves. And so like I'm building the sport bar thing, the baseball and the menu bar thing, and I'm building Flux for Blue Sky. That's what it's called.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. So I'm like building that thing and I can do it really fast because I'm just sort of solo on it. And like the same thing with like the Flux for Blue Sky app. I just did a big update for that, and I'm able to move on that stuff really fast. And then wavepal, I haven't been because it's like this, we haven't quite figured out that dynamic yet of us both working fast and not kind of stepping on each other's toes. And the same sort of thing, like in the meeting, he was showing off like several different random side projects that he's been building that were really cool and really fun. And so we kind of had like, where are we at? Let's make sure we're on the same page and then sort of figure out what to do going forward. And so the cool thing is we were like, okay, we're both on the same page as far as wavepal. Like, yes, this is something we still both think is valuable and want to do. And so now we have to figure out what that means. Like, how do we move forward on that and not be slowed down by the fact that it's easy to do stuff on the side fast by ourselves without kind of figuring that out? We don't have the answer yet, but it was really helpful just to sort of have that, like, get on the same page. Because like, I don't know, we could have gone to that meeting and then he could have said like, actually, I'm done. I'm not really interested anymore. I had no idea. But now that we've had that meeting, I'm like rejuvenated again of like, okay. Because I think I was probably questioning that in the back of my head for the last couple months of like, is he not interested anymore? Is this worth doing?
Writing your own little story in your head.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like really helpful to have that like, hey, let's just talk it out and then find out, oh, we actually are totally on the same page and have been thinking all the same sort of things. And now we have like, we don't necessarily have a plan going forward, but we have this like alignment in what sort of things to figure out. So hopefully like in future episodes, I can talk a little bit more about what figuring out that dynamic is so that we can sort of like work together. I think there's a lot of people like that, like smaller companies.
Co-side hustling.
Yeah. Like how to figure that out and how to make it so that we are better together and can kind of build awesome things together while also using like not being held back by waiting for approval for every little update or whatever. And that sort of like dynamic. That's kind of the latest that's going on there. And then because of that, we had that meeting last week. And then like over the weekend, I got excited and started building some new things. And so, got some new things bubbling there soon.
I feel like we talked about Shelpful last episode. So I'm excited for the thing I'm building now, or that I was using up all my Claude tokens prototyping. Claude didn't come up with the idea. Like, just let's be clear about that. I'm very much in the. I have the Post-it note on my monitor. The word of the year is testing. Still nice. Here. Ooh. I kept it here. That's what when we came up with our words of the year, and I feel like I'm trying to really stick with that. I think that I'm really excited about the tests we have coming up. More, it's on the accountability side, still within Shelpful. This is the first thing that I've been like, does this need to be its own app? So that'll be interesting. Maybe we talk about that more.
Oh, you can move so much faster if it is, because then it won't.
Or not. I don't know. Yeah.
No,
so we have,
and then you could put it back in. You could always merge it.
Well, I think what we're doing the opposite is we're going to build it. I think we're going to build it inside, and then maybe pull it out if people.
But if you build it inside, okay. But if you build it inside, though, like you got to make sure it doesn't break the other stuff.
I don't think I'll break other stuff because it's part of a new. I mean, and actually, I'd be fine next episode talking more about it. I'm very like Bill. I've already like posted a couple TikToks asking people about it too. And by the way, that Marie, I think that's the other thing that I'm trying to do more. So it's a me update, but also I think would help you is like you have a nice clean email list, like just throwing out a survey, like, hey, I'm working on growth stuff. I want to build stuff that people will love. Here's like a few ideas I'm working on. Which ones?
I have so many
the most?
Because I actually have
exactly.
That's why you...
No, from customers, not even me. Like I get so many emails asking for the same thing. Like
but opening the dialogue,
a dialogue,
and then you're getting them invested in that. Okay, well, and that's part of Jesse. You followed the playbook, the launch playbook for WavePal, and you recommended that to me. And I mean, that's the whole thing is basically getting their investment, mental investment, in whatever you're building from like way earlier on, and then they replied to that thing. So then now you're updating them and like, oh, well, do you want to be a beta tester or whatever the path is? But you're basically bringing them along the purchase journey, and it's motivating you because you have a dopamine shortage.
Yeah.
Don't we all? Because you have ADHD. We all do. We all do.
do.
Sorry. We on this podcast have a dopamine shortage. And so it really helps me, even if like a TikTok I post gets like 3 comments of someone being like, holy crap, I need this.
Okay. Yeah.
That helps me so much that day. Like just even getting through that day.
I do feel
trying to just like throw it out in any way. And that helped me on the last features we've done too. So this one is like an accountability feature to try to like really annoy you until you get to the place that you need to get to do the thing. So like I'm excited. It's very related to Shelpful, but it does feel like people would maybe just want that only and not the other stuff, like a certain type of customer. But I'd love to talk about it more next episode one more time.
I don't know the specifics of it, but like the Do app that we mentioned a lot, DUE, it's just like a really annoying reminder app. And I love that that's all it is.
So it'll be even more annoying than that.
Purpose.
Yeah. 2 episodes ago, we talked about single purpose, right? Like we were talking about, that's why I've been thinking about this, because I feel like this is like, maybe someone would just want this. And I'm curious. Anyway, so we can talk more about that
You know what
later.
I would love to end up with? Like a little portfolio of single purpose apps. And then that's like my business has all those little things, because then you can charge separately for it too. And if somebody doesn't want it or use it, they don't pay for it, like a collection. And you can bundle it. There are companies like that where you can bundle it as well. And if you want all those apps, you get a discount. But if you only want a few, you just cherry pick and pay for those.
Every company does that. They do a lot of like AI focused stuff. They started as like a newsletter company.
Oh yeah, that's how I know.
But now
them.
they have like
they have
like a whole bunch of different tools that are all kind of bundled together in like one annual subscription.
I think in my mind, it's also just like getting it in someone's hands in any way to see if it's useful. What I want to do. Totally. So if it's the app that's already submitted and downloaded, we just have to update it, to get like 5 people to use it and love it, then let's do that. And it's not like the most complicated, like it's a doable build. So I'm excited for that. And we can talk more about it next time. I'm not.
All right. So by the next time,
I know we
let's
have
do
a
our
time
picks.
crunch.
Next time we chat, I'm going to have built one more feature. Ooh, accountability.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Yes. Growth.
Okay.
Okay. Let's do our picks.
Cool. Picks. Oh, I totally forgot about
plugs
that.
and picks.
I'll go first because I have one in my hand.
Are we going to do plugs real quick?
Yeah. Plugs are, you can find me at shelpful.com and social medias that also say Shelpful. And on TikTok at automatically ADHD, which is where, if you are very curious about what feature I'm talking about, you could find a hint on that channel.
I'm ADHD Jesse on all the socials. And how about you, Marie?
You can find me on Instagram at llamalife.co. So it's llamalife.co on Instagram or llamalife.co on the web as well. And in the app stores.
Awesome. Sharon, it sounded like you had a pick ready to go.
I do. I have it. It's visual if you are on our, you can head to our YouTube if you want to see it. But it's a journal called Lifelines. And actually, it's the maker of it is the same maker who makes the Melissa and Doug toys for any parents out there. They're like it's a very big toy brand.
Yeah.
And I guess that my sister got this for me for my birthday. And I guess it's supposed to be geared toward ADHD. So it's a sensory journal. So the front of the journal is like this kind of, it's like one of those like water bead things where there's like ink and you can kind of move your hand around and the things move. And then each page has this like textured, you can't even really see it on video. Each page has like textures on the sides of the pages. So it's kind of just supposed to be like a little bit of a sensory experience. And then my sister also gave me pens that's by the same company, Lifelines, that are like aromatherapy pens. So they have like peppermint flavor like that comes out of the top of the pen. I haven't opened that box yet, but I don't know, it's kind of fun. I'm really bad at journaling. I've never done it for like more than a day. But I would like to be able to look back, especially when I'm getting like pessimistic, to just go back and look at like something I called a win from the day before, or I'm not trying to touch the sun with this, but I feel like physically writing. Anyway, I'm putting it on my desk, so at least I've done that first step. But it is very fun to play with, and my kids have already tried to steal it from me, and I'm keeping it on my own. But just even checking out this brand, Lifelines is the name of the brand, and there's multiple things they make that are sensory, real world stuff that's sensory.
Nice. I'm going to go with my pick is going to be another video game. This is one that it came out a while, I don't know, years ago, but I was just recently reminded of it again. It's a really great exploration story puzzle kind of game called Outer Wilds.
I knew you were going to say that. I want to play that so bad.
It's such a unique game experience. Like, I don't want to spoil any of it, but what I will say is it's a game where there's sort of like all these different planets to sort of like explore. And there's smaller like little areas where you're exploring and you're sort of learning the story as you explore and uncovering things. And there's a mechanic that sort of does a repeat. So you get to sort of like replay areas as you're learning more about it. And one of my favorite things about the game is it's the kind of puzzle game where the keys to unlocking the puzzles are knowledge of the story that you're picking up. So like if you've played the game and you remember everything you learned, you can solve the whole game in like under 20 minutes. Like you could just walk through the steps and know exactly what to do because you've acquired sort of the knowledge of the world and how all the things interact. But when you don't do that, there's all this like you're figuring out how. So like, for example, one of the things that's happening is there's these two like twin planets that are sort of spinning through space.
Is this a spoiler?
And one of them, it's like a very, very minor spoiler. Okay. It's not any other story.
Example of
but one of the things that's happening over time is there's like sort of like this vortex between the two planets, and all of the like sand or like the earth from one planet is moving to the other. Ooh. And one of the things you have to learn while playing the game is like, why is that happening? What is getting uncovered when sand moves from one to the other? And if I don't get there in time, that means I can't see the stuff that's already been covered by the sand. Things like that. There's all these really interesting little areas within the game that you're finding out. And actually, there's a DLC for it, which is kind of standalone. And I actually even liked that more. And in that, there's like this ring, kind of like the Halo planet ring. And there's this similar sort of thing where there's all this stuff playing out and you're trying to learn and uncover what interesting thing kind of happened here, and then using that to solve the puzzles. You know, highly recommend it. It's the kind of game that anyone could play.
I think it's on Windows only, though.
Incredible.
Which is the problem I was having. Is it?
Oh, well, it's on console. It's on all the consoles.
Oh, okay. I don't have any consoles. That's why. Okay, so it's on consoles and it's on Windows. So you can get on Steam for Windows, but if you want to play it on Mac, you got to get some sort of emulator.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of par for the course for it. Like, I love my Mac, but it is not the place for games.
Okay, maybe I should get a console then. I don't play a lot of games, though. I just want to play a lot of games. Like, I want to read a lot of books. Okay, I better get to mine because I know, Sharon, you've got to go. All right, so this is a bit last minute one, but I'm going to recommend like a physical product. It's like this, I might have done this before, I can't remember, but it was so long ago, I'll do it again. It's basically a keyboard wrist rest. So if you use a mechanical keyboard, they're usually kind of elevated a little bit, right? So like if you're typing on your MacBook or your laptop, like your wrists are kind of resting on the laptop itself, and it's kind of the same level as the keys. But if you use a mechanical keyboard, the keyboard is often like, a couple of centimeters or an inch or whatever off the table, so your wrists can kind of get tired. So a lot of people buy wrist rests, and there's so many companies that do wrist rests, and a lot of them are really expensive. But this one, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see it. It's basically like a wooden...
it looks like it's wooden.
Looks like a slab of wood. Yeah.
It looks like a slab of wood, and you're like, why should I pay for a slab of wood? And is wood going to be comfortable? Because a lot of
it looks like a nice slab of wood.
It's a nice slab of wood. It's like a mahogany
like a
wood.
Ramp. It's like a wrist ramp.
It's really nicely contoured and it's smooth. And I was really not sure about wooden wrist rests. Because a lot of them are kind of foamy or rubbery, which you think would be more comfortable, but the wood is super comfortable. Anyway, there's so many different brands out there that make these wooden wrist rests, and they're usually expensive, but I got this one off Amazon. It's by a company called Glorious, and the cool thing is it's kind of it's got this little logo in the corner of this like bearded guy with, I would say, glorious hair. He's got like a glorious beard and a glorious like long hair. And a little bit of a shout out.
Kind of looks like a very well-groomed Viking.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to say shout out to our editor as well, Ian, because every time I see this logo, it reminds me of Ian because he's kind of got like this glorious hair as well. Thanks, Ian. But this company is really good, and you can get them in different sizes, different colors. So I've got like this mahogany brown, but you can get it in black as well, and you can get like full size or like 75%. Size or whatever size your keyboard is, they will have like the right length for it. And you can also get like mouse wrist rests as well. Anyway, it's pretty cool and it's pretty affordable, and I really like it.
Very nice, very nice. And I just want to mention my little temperature utility. I've used it like 2 or 3 times during this episode, and it's great. It's working awesome for me, keeping the temperature just right.
All right, cool. Put that app in the App Store. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks. See you next week. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
See ya.
Bye.